Good morning everyone, welcome back to Gwent. My name is Rooster and this is a budget Nilfgaard deck. So the idea of this little series is to make budget decks that are attainable within a few days of you starting the game. These decks are playable without a complete deck, without having the complete deck list. It does help if you have a few of the epics. As well as most of the rares and commons in the list, but that shouldn't take you too much scrap to accrue. And also, the deck can easily be expanded into a very competitive list, which makes them all the more enticing to start building them. But let's hop into a casual match to see how the deck functions, because well, getting an impression of how the deck is supposed to work is always a good introduction to a deck, I think. Overall, the list should set you back around the cost of 4 to 6 epics, as well as we're including Ciri in the list, as well as Decoy, which are obtained at level 18 for Ciri and level 20 for Decoy. You can replace the cards with other cards for as long as you don't have them yet. And other than that, there are no legendary cards in the deck, so it should be relatively cheap and quick to obtain. Against Dagon I would like to keep 1 First Light, but I don't think I need 2 explicitly. We'll mulligan an Arbalest, looking for some better cards here. And the final one, I like the Ulcer's Thunder, I like the Decoy. I like a lot of these cards. Perhaps the Cleaver. The Cleaver I like to keep in case we're facing Neckers. And I am actually fine with this hand. It's rather good. Alright, so I'm not sure what we're up against here. Well, we can certainly safely assume that we're facing Neckers at this point. So a Consume deck, when facing a Consume deck, you usually just want to eliminate the Neckers as soon as possible, to get as many of them out of the deck as quickly as you can, just to prevent them from getting too big, from your opponent getting too many of them. It's usually a great idea. And if you can prevent them from getting any Neckers to stay over until the next round, then that's even the better. So let's see what our opponent's up to. If he monster nests, then I suppose I can throw a Cow Carcass, although Cow Carcasses are rather weak against the Consume deck, since Ekimara is quite the big counter for that one, so that's a little annoying at times. I guess we shouldn't be too worried about him weathering us, aside from his faction ability. I think this would be a good time to lock the Necker right there. Well, he wouldn't consume it yet, so I suppose we can wait a little bit longer on that. Yeah, that would be actually fine. Let's go with the Nilfgaard Knight for now. They are actually rather safe, since Dagon doesn't like Frost, because he's also stacking a lot of units on the melee row. We can't really prevent him from shuffling any additional copies into his deck, but if it looks like he's going to pass the round, then I'm certainly happy to lock the Necker and deny him any additional value. Perhaps we should just... well, killing the Necker now doesn't really do anything, so I guess that won't really work. Well, let's use Morvran and see if we find anything useful. Well, I'll take an Arbalest, I think. Arbalests are useful. Taking 1 more Necker out of stack, so we took the 2 starter Neckers out. That means there's 4 left right now. There are 6 left right now, so if he monster nests, then he gets another 4, and then there's 2 more left. That's still pretty big, even though we killed 2. Little annoying, but not much we can do about that right now, unfortunately. The thing we could do is lock it and hope he doesn't have a monster's nest in hand, but I'm not sure if I favor my chances in that case. So we could K here, I guess, and force him to use his leader power, I guess, for a fog. Am I okay with that? Or we could save K here for a last turn advantage. Not sure. Let's just lock the Necker first, and we can even use decoy on Cleaver, which is not terrible. Use decoy on Cleaver to get all of the Neckers out. That doesn't seem like the worst idea to me. So what's he gonna do? That's a monster nest, alright. And then we could see if we want to Rot Tosser, or perhaps we just want to kill the locked Necker, so he doesn't get anything. Well, he never gets anything from the locked Necker, so that, I suppose that's a waste. Yeah, killing all the Neckers right now does seem like an appealing idea, and forcing him to use an Ekimara on a cow carcass, I suppose, is also okay. Which means that we can then kill the Ekimara with the Alzur's Thunder in our hand, so I think I like that. It's a little awkward, I suppose, but any Ekimara spent on a not too impressive unit, I guess, is well spent in our opinion. So we can shoot that. That means the round ends in a tie, which is a little unfortunate. Not too much we can do about that. We can use Stefan Skellen to find a Dimeritium bomb, which I like. Would he pass? I don't think he would pass. That gives us the round for a mere one card advantage. I don't think he's into that. Now this is a little more troublesome, I will admit. So this might just be the moment that we pass here, because there's not too much we can do about that over there. I suppose we could have known that was coming. But how about we could decoy, we could Stefan, but we can't really win the round in one swing, which is a little annoying. If we're going to give up on the round, then we might as well play Siri and see how we go from there. Or we could use the first light and see if we find a cow tosser, which is reasonable and could win us the round if we hit both of the crones with it. So I think I like that approach the best. Could get a Nilfgaardian Knight, and that's also fine. That is the target I wasn't really hoping for, but we can always kill a Necker, pull a Necker from the deck. And, well, expecting our opponent to pass here, although he does keep the Necker now, so that's a rather amusing prospect. Well, we'll have to see what he thinks about that. If he wants to commit another card here, then I guess that was a good deal for us. Although this Siri is kind of burning a hole in my pocket at this point. Can we win the round in one play? Not really is going to be the answer to that. Alzur's Thunder rather weak, so I'm fine with that. What if we decoy? What if we decoy the Tosser right now? So that would take 14 away from his score. That would bring him to 38, and then we still can't win. So let's play Siri and see if he wants to. If he wants to continue playing. I don't assume he will, and we're not willing to go 2 cards into card disadvantage, but if he really wants to, then I will allow him to to make another play. That would be a mistake, but you can always try. And if we, I suppose if we had Aromancy or something, then we could have won the round. Unfortunately, we do not have that in our deck, but he only keeps 12 strength, so this round should be a possible win for us. Okay, so what do we want to throw away? Usually it's a great idea to just throw Siri back, and I think I'm going to do just that right now. Let's see. He's going to play first. It's going to be tough for us to win in one round. So that's a little annoying. But if he chooses to pass, however, he won't, okay. But eating the Neckers right now, that's not a really strong play. I suppose it's going to cost us 3 cards to get rid of that, won't it? Oh, and that is a lot of Neckers, I suppose. I suppose that's a lot of Neckers. We do have a Rod Tosser, with which we can eliminate 21 strength. This is going to cost us, but I think this this pulled the last remaining Neckers out of his deck. So we can eat the cow, and then we can decoy the rod tosser and try again, and hope he doesn't have a way to get rid of this. If he does, then I guess we're kind of screwed. But it's the best we have at this point. We could go for a K-Hair play, I guess, and then try to find another rod tosser with Morvran.
I sense strong magic.
Ooh, the Triss. Okay, so that's painful. We don't have a way to recover from this, so I suppose we K-Hair and see if we can find another rod tosser with Morvran, and that's about the only thing we can do, unfortunately. So that's a bit of a bummer. But I suppose you can see what this deck's supposed to be doing. And Consume Monsters is a rough one. It becomes a lot of a better matchup if you include Aromancy in the deck, but of course that is a bit of a more expensive card. Even Rally's an additional card. Ouch, ouch, ouch. Bronze Frost might actually be a decent card in this deck. So that's also a consideration, which is actually not awful. So, what do we want to find at this point? If we Diabolic Bomb him, how much does that do? It turns the Neckers into 3s, so that's 18, that's 24. Even that is not enough, is it? So I think we just lost. Unless... well, we can do 27 with a Cow Carcass, so that's better. So I suppose that's going to be the play. We can use Stefan here to find whatever we need. Scorch doesn't quite do it. Doesn't quite. Scorch is pretty good here if we can only deal 1 strength to the ghoul, which we cannot, unfortunately. So we have to put the Rod Tosser on top, but I don't think that's enough to win this round. So that's rather all-in from our opponent. Doesn't even need his leader ability right now. We can find a Rod Tosser over here, and then we have to spend another card. That's 27 from his side, 28 actually, including the Carcass. So that brings us up to 59. We're going to need... We have 18, so that becomes... if we play everything, I suppose we have just barely won this round. And we can shoot the ghoul, so he only keeps a 3, but then our top deck card needs to be... oh, and it's a tie. Okay, I guess I can't count. Yeah, Consume Monsters are rough. I suppose if you wanted to have a better chance against Consume specifically, then you would, for example, add a Bronze Frost to the deck or a Lacerate. The deck is very customizable, so that's one advantage of the deck. But let's take a look at that right now. So if we're taking a look, we have the 3 Rod Tossers right here. Of course, one of the main attractions of the deck. We've got the Arbalists, who can deal with small stuff that your opponent might throw in the way of your Cow Tosser, but are also excellent value plays if you can at least hit a buffed unit with it. Buffed units are rather common right now, so that's pretty good if you can just play them for 10 strength. Cleaver is here mostly as kind of a replacement for Ox. Ox is a Nilfgaard silver card for 7 strength. That is just strictly better than Cleaver, so it's a clear upgrade, but it's not all that meaningful. He's in here mostly to lock Neckers, to lock Warlong ships, to remove resilience from units, which is excellent. The Knights here are mostly just big beefy dudes, which is a good tempo play. The card revealed in your hand is usually not all that meaningful. Occasionally it will just reveal your secret tech card and then your opponent can wreck you, but that doesn't happen all that often, and usually they are pretty great. If you choose to include a Bronze Frost just to combat the Necker menace, then you would likely want to swap these Knights over to some more resilient units. You can either go for a more ranged row stack approach, so you can add a couple of standard bearers along with, for example, Impera Enforcers. which makes for a nice little stack in the ranged row, which you can then buff. That seems to be a popular tactic. Other people have opted for the Alba Pikeman on the melee row, which can clearly replace the knights, and if you have Bronze Frost, then they won't be affected by it. So that's also a tactic that's known to work. We've got one Vicovaro medic, mostly because running 2 can be awkward in certain matchups, such as Consume, in which they don't really have any good targets. And also Skellige, if they tech properly, or if they're being careful, then Vicovaro is actually a little substandard. In most of the other matchups they can find some good value, and against greedy Skellige decks they are more than excellent. I personally don't like running more than 1, but your mileage of course may vary. If we take a look at the spells, I'm really happy with double Elsor's Thunder in the deck, mostly to combat dwarves, and the Warlong ships are also pretty important to remove. Running Scorch and Dimeritium Bomb at the moment. Scorch can be a little awkward, so you have to be a little careful with that when faced with your own Nilfgaard Knights. So something to be wary of. And for the epic cards, we're running Yennefer the Conjurer, excellent craft, usable in a lot of decks. We're running Cahir and Stefan Skellen. Skellen mostly useful in combination with Morvran, as we just used to find the perfect card in your deck, the ultimate card that you want to use right now. And you can also use Albrecht to draw the card immediately, should you choose to not use Morvran for that. So that's the main reason Albrecht is in here. Of course, if you're willing to spend a little more on the deck, you would add someone like Cynthia instead of Albrecht, or in addition, should you require additional card draw, because she's just a little better. Even if she's a little weaker, not having your opponent draw a card, but instead a card that you know is rather weak, is a pretty big deal. In Cahir, we haven't seen it this game, but should you reach round 3, then with even just half a card advantage, meaning you have the last play of the round, you can play Cahir as your second to last play. That means you play your opponent plays his last card, you play your last card, then your opponent passes, and then both of your later abilities will reset. That means you get to use Morvran again, but your opponent has already passed, so that's pretty great. It's not the main reason you use Cahir in this deck, but it is a pretty good possibility to consider. Overall, Cahir is just excellent as a 10 strength gold, so no problem including him just as a value play. And against some leaders, he just gives you a free hero power without giving them anything meaningful, such as against Browver in round 3. They usually don't have too many silvers left in their deck, and it might not even be a silver that they really need at that point. Against King Bran, because they're filtering their deck by a lot, and giving them 3 additional discards doesn't really do all that much. So in matchups like that, then Cahir can be quite excellent indeed. What card haven't we talked about yet? So there's Ciri. Ciri is mostly here as a card advantage play along with Cancerella, so they're both excellent if you've won round 1, to then play in round 2 to bleed some more cards out of your opponents and build up card advantage, for example, for the Cahir play on turn 3. But also just an excellent addition in any Nilfgaard deck, because after using Ciri to gain a card back in a lost round, you can then mulligan her away with the Nilfgaard passive ability. Decoy is here in the deck. It's excellent when used on Vicovaro Medic, it's excellent on Rod Tossers, it's excellent on your opponent's cows that they throw in your row. If your opponent's trying to bleed you, so they're playing spies in a round after they've won round 1, then you can use Decoy on one of their spies to give it right back to them and equalize the card advantage again, which is really neat. But if you don't have Decoy yet, then you can definitely just sub in some other silver cards. Good good candidates for that one. Commander's Horn, not too impressive in this deck, although if you're going for a more of a ranged row stack build, then you can definitely consider it. Otherwise, Fringilla isn't terrible. It's just a 10 strength play, but it's definitely still a silver card. And if you're lacking Ciri still, then just replace her with Geralt, or basically any valuable gold cards that you might have in your collection. The deck is very flexible. None of these silver cards are truly essential except for Cantarella, and none of the gold cards are truly essential except for Cahir. So there's a lot of tinkering to be possible. And definitely go give the deck a try. It's not really all that expensive as people are making it out to be. Now, room for expansion. I've already hinted at a couple of cards like Cynthia, like well, mostly Cynthia actually, like Ox, the Witcher that Loxy unit. But besides that, Vilgefortz is a really big addition, very useful. Especially when coupled with Roach in the silver slot, because whenever Vilgefortz appears, then Roach comes right back out of the graveyard or the deck, and you can use Roach as a target for Vilgefortz, which means that you're just playing another card out of your deck. If you played Stefan Skellen first, then you get to play the top card of your deck that you just placed there, which is excellent, because you're likely going to adapt that to the situation at hand. So really good in that combination. Another great card is Murktabraki, because she helps you set up really big rows for example, Scorch, for example, Rot Tossers, so really helpful in that regard. And that's the main cards that you're going to be looking for when building your Nilfgaard deck. So again, don't copy this exact list. If you're facing a lot of consume monsters, then you'll likely just want to switch to a build which includes Frost in some aspects. That seems to be really popular right now. But the general idea of the list should remain the same. So hoping you'll have some fun with that. Thank you very much for watching, and I will see you again next week with some more budget decks.